So everyone, 93% sold. So does that actually mean that 93 of them actually make the right move? So Springleaf actually has become the weekend headline, and over this weekend or even next week, you're definitely going to see a lot of news, social media talking about Springleaf that is almost taken up, and at 93% sold. Well, I mean, I'm sure that you are also wondering why this happened, right? So now here's the very uncomfortable question I want to throw to everybody. So are the buyers in Springleaf Residences today walking into a growth, or are they walking into a trap? Okay, so because of the same 1.3 million to even 2.5 million you're paying for Springleaf Residences, and at the end of this video, I'm going to show you three real alternatives, right, for different bedroom types that perhaps with the same level of price point, you could actually get a safer exit and maybe a better long-term growth than Springleaf itself. Okay, so let's write disclaimer that today's video is really not to shame anybody who have purchased the property. If you have already done it, congratulations. And for the 93% of you, I really want to, from the bottom of my heart, at least you have made the right move to move forward in terms of your property upgrade into a condominium, and that is also very important. All right, so if you are thinking that right now you are thinking like, okay, so then what should I do next? I've missed Springleaf, or maybe some of the launches that previously you already missed, or you're in the market exploring what should you do next, then you don't want to miss this video. All right, because later on I will also be sharing with you three crucial questions you must answer for yourself. And these three questions are usually what I always ask my clients whenever before they want to even commit to a new launch. And these questions potentially could save you years of regret. All right, so if today you have not subscribed to our channel or even like and follow us, now is the best time to do so that we can continue to put out new videos like this with market updates as well as knowledge of property that you can actually use for your own strategy of your own property planning. All right, so if you have not, just subscribe and like the video and put on the notification bell, because then every single week when we are putting out new videos, you will be notified of it. All right, cool. So let us take a look and understand that today for Springleaf Residences that is able to get such a good response of 93%, and we want to kind of dive in deeper of what is actually happening on that day. All right, so if you have not been monitoring Springleaf Residences, this was just launched over the Saturday, and they have an impressive 93% sold and only left with 70 units. And if we can see from the breakdown, a lot of the units that has been sold are actually the smaller units as per norm. And right now, at the meantime, we only have 3 units of 2-bedroom and 3 units of the standard, and they're all on the higher floors. And where else for the smaller 3 bedrooms, they are mostly already taken up. So most of the units that is available right now are only the 3-bedroom and the conserve units, as well as the 4 and the 5-bedroom. So the take-up rate for a mass market project like this, everybody is deeming it as what do you call it, a mega project. So when the 900 plus unit become a mega project, ever since the last round where we see Tampines Treasure, then those are mega because it's over 2,000 units. And also we want to kind of uncover the price point of how much would it been sold for. So for the many of you who have been following my channel, you know that we've been waiting for Springleaf to actually launch, and there are a lot of comments also about Springleaf. Some likes it, some don't like it due to whatever reason. So if you have any comments about your own thoughts about Springleaf, you can also comment below at the bottom so that we can actually have a conversation there and see where's your thought process. Okay, so Springleaf, of course, when this first started off, they were highlighting that the pricing point is about 2,000 per square foot, all the way to even $2,100 per square foot. So on average right now, if you can see the prices, the 2-bedroom averagely from a low price of about 2.11 per square foot, which starting from about 1.113 and went up all the way to 1.186 million. The standard 2-bedroom averagely is about 1.37 to 1.39. The difference are not too much. And the 3 bedrooms, you can see they're ranging from 1.824 million all the way to even 2.326. So these are the reason why you need to understand, because on average, their per square foot is still hovering about 2,000 to 2,001 per square foot, depending on the floor level as well as your facing. Yeah. So the conservation units generally there are a little bit lesser take-up rate in the beginning part of the balloting, but actually along the way throughout the day, the units are also being taken up. So for here, you can see that they're ranging from 2.2 million onwards, all the way to even 2.63 million with the balcony and the PES configuration. So the price point for a 3-bedroom conservation building can go up to even 2.6 million. So that gives you a good benchmark that today, if you're looking at another project or somewhere else, you can use this as a benchmark at the same time. So for the 4-bedroom, they go all the way from 2.4 million to 2.832 million. And for the 5-bedroom, 2.97 to 3.423. And you can see that the per square foot went up as high as $2,300 per square foot in Springleaf. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, with such a good take-up rate for Springleaf Residences, is it really all hype, or is it really the numbers tell us that actually what did we miss out at the same time? Because I can share with you, the hype is really real. Okay, the hype is really real. And for many a times when we are looking at properties, right? So Springleaf being a very new, shining, very fresh. So when something is being marketed out there very aggressively, then of course everyone will know about this project. And then we will find that, hey, since everybody's talking about it and so many people visit the show flat, then it may be a safe bet. Or maybe you could have heard friends saying that, oh, I saw the ads, this one looks like a very good development. Then you subconsciously also think so lah. Also, this is something that we always believe. If somebody is buying, then you find that, oh, then I should be going for. So the terminology I like to share is like queuing. When you go to a coffee shop, a hawker center, then you see somebody queue, even you don't know what is it about, you also like to queue and explore and see what happens. So new launches are sometimes the behavior of consumers do have that. But I want all of you to kind of pause for a second, because why? Because a lot of times for Springleaf area, right, one of the main concerns is many people always think that there may be limited growth drivers, okay, because we are in an area where there's not much developments going on. Most of it are landed properties, and the future upside of the growth, you can't really tell what is happening. And in such a further away locations, even though you're near the MRT and the North-South corridor, all these are coming up. But again, you're still further from a lot of the different estates, or this is one of the furthest away the estates. And so on top of everybody's mind is that, so who are you going to sell to? What kind of pricing are you going to sell to, and who are you going to sell to? Sell to the monkeys? Cannot be, right? Yeah, so this is something that we also have to take note of, because today we also need to know that, hey, with Springleaf prices like this, where are the other alternatives that it could be better located? Maybe in terms of the price point is very similar. And that's why in today's video, we're going to break this down very deeply to understand what is happening. And today, if let's say you are also kind of exploring and you wanted to go for some of all these upcoming launches. So every time, whenever there's a launch, there's always a lot of movement, a lot of hype. And if you find that, oh, I've been so confused, and you do not want to just follow the tribe of hype going on, then perhaps you want to scan the QR code and just reach out for a second opinion, so that we can kind of guide you through, be it whether you're going to any of all these future projects. Maybe there are also hidden gems in the current market that you may be missing out at the same time. So I want to really use this chance to kind of give you a heads up that today, we're not saying that new launches cannot buy, but are you missing out on how to actually choose new launches or even resale market that actually help you position yourself better in the property? All right, so what's the danger right now? So the danger right now is when I see that people are buying based on hype. Okay, the situation is that a lot of them could be thinking about short-term execution, and they have certain limitations that they are unaware of. So you could be missing out quite a lot of different type of selections. And this is the reason why I will be doing 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and 4 bedrooms using Springleaf as an example. That if today you are missing out on Springleaf, or maybe you find that the pricing is not up to your mark, and you're kind of like, I still want to explore what is happening there, I'm just going to give you some reference point of how we actually help our clients usually do research before we even jump into queuing or balloting for some of all these projects. So let me give you a quick example here. So let us take a look at for Springleaf, just to run through some of the layouts of the 2 bedroom. So this is a 2 bedroom for a 527 square feet unit. Okay, being a smaller 2 bedroom. So on average, when we look at the pricing, right, the fifth floor unit, okay, the fifth floor unit is hovering about 1.089 million. Okay, it was sold for 1.089 million. And this translates to about 2,066 per square foot. Okay, so on the same type of 527 square feet unit for 2 bed 2 bar, right, a 13th floor unit, okay, was transacted at 1.142 million. And this works out to about 2,166 per square foot. And if you look at the layout, this layout is definitely a dumbbell, and this is a 2 bed 1 bath configuration. All right, so this is the price point that has been transacted, and this is the latest that you are able to hear from this channel. So you can actually like and subscribe to this channel, because we are always giving you the latest updates before anybody else. So the question is, I want to ask every one of you, which you all can put in the comment. If let's say today you have the opportunity to buy the 5th floor or the 13th floor, and this is the price point, which one will you go for? All right, so this is where we will also explore one of the key points, which is the floor jump. Okay, the price per floor jump is also very important, because that's where we will determine how much premium will you want to pay for as you go higher floors. So in the normal context, everybody will think that, oh, higher floor units, usually there's a higher premium tag to it. So if you look at this jump, right, just basing on this example, the per floor jump is actually about $6,025 only. And when you climb 8 floors up to 13th floor, you're paying an additional $53,000. So besides the point, wherever your affordability, whether your capability is able to pay for this extra $53,000, the question is, if each floor is only hovering about 6,000 plus, is it worth to go higher floor or even go to lower floor? So this is the question that whenever we are helping our clients to do selection, this is also the question we will ask. And you need to understand what it means, because it's not necessary for us to look at, hey, oh, only 6,000 per floor, and then you go higher floors. That's where the situation of where your facing are, whether the type of property layout, the type of facing that you have in the development counts. So generally for the 2 bed and 1 bath configuration, a lot of them are outward facing. So when it's outward facing, means they are also facing the expressway, and you only have one stack that is facing inwards. So the probability of you getting an expressway facing is actually very, very high. So I believe that is also one of the reasons why the developers are not pricing per floor jump very, very high. So this is actually very interesting when we see that it's only $6,625 per floor jump. Or usually it should be hovering 10, 15,000 or even 20, 25,000 upwards for higher floor units. So the facing for noise does play a huge part in terms of pricing as well. So then today you also must understand, oh, maybe I will say that, oh, since it's only 58,000 or 53,000, I go for the 13th floor higher floor so that I can reduce the noise somehow. Do take note, noise do travel up. All right, and so when noise travel up, even though with the insulation of the balcony, acoustic and all, you know, how much actually it will reduces is really also depending on your threshold for noise. Also, that's why I think one of the strategy by the developer is they did not increase too much on the floor level jump. Also, but let's say with the same quantum, 1.089 million and 1.142 million, would we have something out there that could actually balance the playing field? Or could there be a property that historically already been proven that there is a demand for it, and there's a price support around that location where we can actually explore? All right, so later on you can also, after this video, you can check out one of this property video that I've done where I talk very much about price support. Okay, the price support equals to demand. So you can check out one of the video after this, go and watch it so that you can understand what do I mean by price support logic. Okay, very important. So one of the key property that I want to share with you is just this Trevor. So this is in the RCR region, and you can see this property is also relatively young, TOP in 2022 with 729 units in this development. So for the location, for some of you who are not familiar with this area, this is in the Potong Pasir area where a lot of $1 million properties are upcoming in Bidadari, in Woodley. So there's a lot of HDB upgraders, as well as it's very much of a really matured area. And there's many different condominiums we're talking about. Park Colonial, we're talking about Woodley Residences are also in this region. So this is Trevor where you're facing the Kallang River. So it's a very nice development there. And of course, when you're talking about Potong Pasir MRT, so from the map, it seems very far. So unlike Springleaf is just walking 2 minutes, this one definitely you still have to walk out. Or maybe you can cut through the HDB towards the MRT. Give and take maybe about 10 minutes. All right. But of course, it's all sheltered, so it also helps in terms of the traveling towards the MRT. So one of the why do I want to bring this out to share with you is because today we are talking about Springleaf in OCR, and if today I want to shift my property inwards, okay, due to whatever reason, we find that maybe Springleaf is a bit too far. Then you want to find something closer to town, and this property you're only maybe about 15 minutes and you can drive down to town very easily. And this Trevor property is also one of the youngest property in the region. So that's where you can do a fair comparison that today, if let's say I am looking for a property and I know that, hey, Springleaf is too far and I want to find somewhere more convenient, maybe nearer to town, but then I also have to forego some of the things that I want. So for example, let's say we talk about Springleaf versus Trevor, right? Trevor is a little bit further from MRT. So we need to accept for that so that we have the convenience of staying near to town. So there is always this weighing scale that you need to balance out. Not that everything you just put on one side and say that you want, but the price point is also very different. Okay, so looking at this, if you look at the layout comparison, both Springleaf as well as Trevor, actually not much different based on pricing, based on the layout. Of course, for Trevor, instead of getting a 2-bed 1-bath, you are able to get a 2-bed dumbbell configuration and as well as a tuck-in kitchen. Okay, so these are all some of the traits that today in the marketplace, there are actually properties that are having the same traits that you can actually explore and look into. And for Trevor, this size is also bigger at 700 square feet. Okay, 700 square feet. This is a 2-bed 2-bath. And let's say we talk about on average, let's say it's a 6-floor unit, right? This property is only about 1.4 million range estimate. Okay, and this works out to 2,001 per square foot only. So this is something that you also need to understand that, hey, are there any hidden gems in the marketplace that you can actually uncover? There are. It's just that whether have you done enough research into it, are you getting the right advice to find some comparison at the same time? And best of all is, let's say you're looking for investment, this area has already been proven with rental ranging from 3,009 to even 4,001. Okay, that has been proven because there's already transactions going in. So today you have asked yourself, if let's say today I'm going for Springleaf, okay, versus Trevor. Example, I'm just using this as an illustration. So one side for Trevor is you're in the RCR zone, so it's already one grade higher in terms of a region. You are also 1 km to a very good school, which is St. Andrews. There are $1 million HDBs around the area to kind of support the support price logic that I've been speaking about, as well as you are also MRT to the malls. There is Woodley Mall that is very one stop away, as well as the Potong Pasir MRT. So then the question is always this: do you want to pay today's high premium? Okay, because everybody is talking about it, right? Or do you want to position yourself for tomorrow's safety? Okay, so this is something that I want to show you guys to kind of understand a lot better, because based on the understanding of a 2-bed configuration, if let's say you really want to go and you have the amount to pay 1.1 million, 1.4 million, right? Because for the Springleaf property is already hovering about 1.1 million for 2-bed 1-bath. But what about if let's say today I have the 1.4 million range, then what can I go for? So besides Trevor that you can go for, then there's another one that I can show you the example. So Springleaf, they also have a 2-bed 2-bath configuration. Then that's the part where you can also consider something that is also on the 5th floor for Trevor, as well as this is about 1.14 million range. So I'm sharing with you the pricing because these are what is happening right now. And this is only about 1,898 per square foot, way below 2,000 per square foot. So one of the key things is that if you're comparing side by side for Springleaf, this is A is Springleaf and then B is Trevor. You can see for B being a bigger unit at 743 square feet, okay, square feet. The interesting part is that they have a ventilation area here, which is like a window that in the foyer, so that your ventilation from the balcony to the living area kitchen is very comfortable. So this is, I think, one of the unique points about Trevor. And also, and importantly, is that the bathroom. Okay, the bathroom have windows for 2-bed, 2-bath. So this is also something that you can, if you dive deep enough, you're actually able to find good properties with good layouts that no matter what, when you purchase, is also to help you for your future sale. And that is one of the key criteria we are always looking out for. So today, one of the main advantage that you must understand is that today, could there be choices out there? All right, could there be choices out there that you actually, you can work on a little bit, do a little bit more research to find out some of these choices. So I believe in a long run, Springleaf will perform well because there will be definitely future transformations going on in that area. So it's definitely not a lousy project like a lot of people are saying. It's just that everybody's timeline is different, everybody's objective is different. So, but if you can spend a little bit more time to kind of do the research and challenge yourself on whether during then is Springleaf the only choice, even for future projects, you want to start asking yourself, is this project the only choice? And you challenge and see whether what can you find besides that project. And that could also help you to get a second opinion about your decision making and not just, oh, let's go with the hype kind of situation. So continue watching because I will also uncover the 3 as well as the 4-bedroom alternative that you'll be surprised what you can get out in the marketplace. Okay, so let us just take a look at this other development, right? So I'm talking about 2-bed, 2-bath right now. Okay, so 2-bed, 2-bath, if let's say you already have a 1.4 million kind of price point to get into Springleaf, then what else can we get? So this development is in D8, which is RCR as well. Okay, and this property is TOP 2019. Okay, and with this, although it's a 657 square feet, the price point on about 9th floor is only 1.36 million, which works out to slightly over 2,071 per square foot. See, so but you're in the RCR region and you're just walking distance to Farrer Park MRT, and you also have shopping mall like City Mall Residences, which is around there. So that's why today, when you want to start looking at properties, you may want to what? You may want to kind of exchange certain of your priority to see what works better. So one of the key criteria we always look at is whatever we're purchasing now, how can we exit with more multiple exit points? Okay, so that is very important. And if you look at a layout like this comparable to just now, this is a proper 2-bed, 2-bath and everything is very configured very comfortably. You do not have much wasted space. Okay, and also the key thing is when a 2-bed, 2-bath, usually a lot of the properties do not have the windows, but for this one, your master room, you still have very comfortable window, all right, into your toilet. Okay, so all the things that we want to do has to be supported with price logic. Okay, which means number one, proven transactions, and also this means that the exit is being secured because why? There's a real demand going on, and I believe this is something that a lot of buyers today may have missed this out, and because they are just looking at the future potential of it. Nothing wrong with looking at a future upside potential, but sometimes the numbers and the support still need to come in to justify whether the project is overpriced. How long will we need to wait for the next growth potential for me to exit? I think this is important. So looking at this, if you have a 1.4 million, you can even go to what? Another project here. All right, this one is in 8 River Suites, which is a TOP in 2016. All right, TOP 2016. So it is a slightly older property, but I think besides the point that this is also a proper 700 square feet unit. Okay, 700 square feet. And this property on the 15th floor is about 1.33 million, which works out to about $1,900 per square foot. So where is 8 River Suites? 8 River Suites is basically very near to Boon Keng MRT. And then if you're on the 15th floor, basically you are talking about fireworks view. Every National Day, F1, New Year, you will enjoy that kind of lifestyle. And most importantly, you're very near to town. So why am I using RCR comparison to share? So today, besides going for OCR in Springleaf, maybe the alternative choice is you can find something that is nearer to town to kind of benchmark yourself on what are the alternatives. So one of the key things is that in the 8 River Suites area, Boon King area, we are also surrounded by a lot of HDB, billion-dollar HDBs that's coming up. There's your 5 minutes walk to the hawker, wet market. So the only thing you don't have is shopping mall. Lah. Okay, so if you can go and track the entire purple line, Boon King is the only one with no shopping mall. The rest of the MRT all have one shopping mall. We're talking about Woodley Residences, you have the Woodley Mall, right? You have Next in Serangoon, then you up Buangkok also have, then you go to Punggol also have. So, but the Boon King is the only one don't have. Maybe it's just too centralized that you do not need to have a shopping mall because you are so near to everything. So this is something interesting that I see that even for a 2-bed, 2-bath configuration is something that you can also explore into if you are working on the 1.4 million range. So another question you must ask yourself is that today, are you paying more for less space? So this is a very, very big question. Are you paying for more for less space? And will the growth be also slower in time to come because we are buying into a newer development, but at the same time, the size is also smaller that we need to consider about. All right, so it's not always about, oh, let's go for new launch. There must be certain upsides that we need to understand before we can jump into a new launch kind of project. So this is when a lot of people are getting trapped in those hype. So one of the key questions you must always ask yourself is this, okay? Is new launch always safer? So these are some things that you definitely need to ask yourself. Hey, is new launch always safer? Because you can get the facilities new, and most importantly, everybody goes for a new launch is also because it's progressive payment, and it also saves you a lot of timeline in terms of purchase. So one thing you must understand for safety is never about what you buy. Okay, safety is about how you're going to exit. Are there enough buyers in that region that support the pricing that you are intending to sell next time? Because if the resale demand in a certain location is already weak or non-existent, or there's no reference point, not that the area will not have future growth potential, but then you are really biting on something that you cannot see it yet. All right, so there's definitely certain risks involved in that. And today, if you ask me, I would rather go to a certain area where there's already proven, even though I'm paying premium to it, but it's already been proven. So that gives me a lot more stability in terms of how I intend to exit moving forward. Because if today you do not have a pathway to look into how this property is going to exit, then you are just waiting and holding for the unknown. And when it's unknown, it's also very scary to think about. Don't you agree? Right. So that's why even sometimes for some developments, future developments, we really have to study very carefully whether how long is on our holding on horizon. That is something that you need to look at, right? So another thing that, let's say we look at the 3-bedroom type. Okay. So maybe you will say, you justify hey, Springleaf, very good ma. You have the MRT just beside walking distance, 2 minutes, and future, maybe there's also future plots of land developing. Yes, I understand these are all future transformation that is upcoming. If not, even the government will not release land there and have the north-south corridor planned for, so that it eases the traffic and moving from a lot of people from the south to the north side area. But if let's say today we also have heard the narrative that, hey, today based on the OCR market, okay, based on OCR market, the growth potential is much higher because there's a lot of demand, there's a lot of homeowners who are looking at upgrading. Yeah, so these are all the narratives that we've been hearing about. And so that's one of the reasons that you can see even Woodlands, even Canberra, of course right now Springleaf, they are also getting very comfortable take-up rates, because there are a lot of people are always thinking, if I go this kind of mass market area, my growth potential is high. All right, so if this is your traits for your property, that means this is your priority that you want to go for it because, oh, I want the MRT, I want walking distance, right? Then you may also think about like, hey, today instead of getting a 2-bed, you have a chance to get a 2-bed plus study. So this is the other configuration that you can also go for, which is a 2 plus study. And this is in Grandeur Park, which is D16. All right, TOP about 2021. And these are sheltered to the MRT, Tanah Merah MRT as well. And for this property, right, at 667 square feet, right, All right, it is only about 1.295 million. We're talking about 1,940 per square foot. All right, so this is always on the mid floor. And if you want, you can even go to a higher floor unit, which is at 1.32 million. And it hovers about 1,978 per square foot. So why am I sharing with you these numbers? Because these numbers is a benchmark for you when you're actually doing certain of your own research in looking at properties. And you do need to not just look at the past transactions, okay, or you look at 5 years ago transactions. You do need to use new launches as a benchmark for your future purchase as well. All right, so anything that we look at the past, you always look expensive today. But when you look at something future, then today's pricing may be more affordable, right? So on average, even for this area, if you're looking for investment, so some of you, maybe you're buying Springleaf Residences, or you're intending to buy properties for investment purchase sake, then even like, for example, Grandeur Park Residences, which is D16, and your rental can fetch about 3,500 to even 3,700. So take note, this is an OCR project. Okay, so I purposely take out OCR project. That means even for Springleaf being OCR, you can get a closer enough OCR by paying almost the same price. Of course, there's a certain trade-off you need to aware, which is the age of the property is slightly older, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be deviate too much from it. So this is something different that you get, not just a 2-bed 2-bar, but you also get additional study area. So there are choices out there actually, if you ask me. So no need to jump right into all the launches out there. Just and do your homework, do your research a little bit more to safeguard yourself. At least you are able to have different viewpoints, different options before you actually commit. All right. So for the 3-bedroom, so this is also where it gets interesting. So Springleaf Residences, they have a different type of 3-bedroom. But I just want to pull out the Type C3 configuration, which is 904 square feet. So based on the latest data that we have, the 5th floor unit, okay, was sold for 1.913 million, which translates to 2,113 per square foot. Okay, so this is one of the lower priced 904 square feet. Other stacks can go upwards of 1.97 million. So the only consideration here you must accept is that today, based on the type of property, right, there's the store, which is their flexi, but this room, even if you become a helper's room, there's no window. All right, the rest of the configuration, I think a lot of people would definitely use this maybe as a yard or instead. So these are some of the configuration that we see that could, you may not see that today is going to affect you, but once you're in the resale market, it becomes everybody's comparison. So you must understand. So when I was doing this research, then I would look at, hey, there's actually a Grandeur Park Residences, which is in D16. Okay, so Grandeur Park Residences TOP 2021 is in Bedok South area. So you're also walking distance to the MRT, sheltered all the way. You are able to actually get a 3-bedroom type, right? That is size 969 square feet. Okay, for this very proper 3-bedroom. And with this configuration, you no need to pay 1.92 or even 1.97 for this property, because this property is valued at about 1.85 million only. And you get a proper 1, 2, 3-bedroom as well. And there's also an additional family room, which you can double it up as a study. And you have a very longish, very comfortable size kitchen. So everything spells for a proper livable area. And one of the key things is that today, for even if you want to turn your family room into a helper's room, okay, this helper got window lah. So this is an advantage, or cannot be just suffocate them, right? So sometimes when we are looking at property, we do need to take some real situation to compare. And this situation will allow your property to be sellable in the market when it becomes a resale at the same time. So these are some of the things that usually we take note of. And the rental for a 3-bedroom like this is actually very comfortable. The rental can actually fetch $5,400 So if you're looking at investment, you also need to take this into consideration. Why? Because today, no matter what, you have to hold your property for 4 years. And even if you're buying a new launch, it may be completed in 2.5 years or even 3 years. You do need to take note of the rental and the area. Is it able to support your mortgage and your interest at the same time? So these are all some of the thought process it goes through whenever we get our clients in. Also, but if let's say that, oh, this is an OCR, if I want to trade off buying a new property, then I may want to choose a better location property if I want to have that kind of trade-off, because I'm getting a slightly older property. And what about if I can exchange your OCR 3-bedroom to a RCR? And we're not talking about the not so good RCR, we're talking about prime RCR. How about that? How about if let's say we exchange and I give you Alex Residences. Wow, say, where is this place? Wow, Queenstown Wall, RCR. Okay, 429 units, and the layout configuration is fantastic. You are just 200 meters away from the Red Hill MRT, and there are also amenities around, very convenient. NTUC is also there. And this part is that you are getting an enclosed kitchen. Okay, and more importantly, your rooms are all tucked in a proper layout, which means you also save your walking space in terms of a corridor. So one of the key thing that this, if let's say on Springleaf, you are able to accept even already no yard. This is also another alternative that you can explore. You see, so you can see that some of the research that we do, we also don't give you like a very big balcony or because the bigger the balcony, the wasted space So we always want to try to fit in as much livable space as possible. And how much is this? If today you can accept 1.97, okay, for Springleaf Residences, this unit, even on a above 10 floor unit, right, is only going for 1.98 million, which works out to 2193 per square foot. So when you start seeing prices like this, right, you may be thinking, actually, did we look into the property market deep enough? Okay, did we study it carefully before we even pull the trigger into the purchase? Which works out that today I want you all to ask this question. What is your real purpose of buying a property? What is your purpose? This isn't just about Springleaf, okay? But the bigger lesson, and you must take back, is that today, are you buying to feel safe today? Or are you buying to grow your wealth tomorrow? You must understand and to kind of determine what's your objective. Because for every 1 to 2 million that you're going to put in, or even 3 million that you're committing, it's not just for a home. Okay, it's also an opportunity cost that today when I go in, could I actually scale up the same value that I'm putting in for a much better location, or maybe a bigger unit, or even a better configuration that I know that I'm able to secure my future in selling next time. So this is what I call future-proofing your property move next time. Okay, I think this is very important instead of you chasing the hype. So these are all the things that I believe as a homeowner, or even you are buying it as an investment, you need to kind of take note of all this before you jump into any purchase. Okay, so one of the key things that I also want to share with you is today, let's look at 4-bedroom now. Wow, now this one is where it gets interesting. So 4-bedroom type, right? If we talk about the average 1,227 square feet unit, all right, which is this configuration, it is already on a lower floor, below a 5-floor unit. It's already going about 2.58 million, which works out to 2,104 per square foot. Okay, so this is where Springleaf already transacted. Okay, it's not a asking price, it's basically transacted. Okay, so people already purchased this unit. And so if you have studied this and you have followed some of my videos on how I do comparison for layout, you know my grumble about this unit, about the layout of this. Not so much about layout, it's the lack in this layout, which is of course the common toilet. All right, so of course we have a very small common toilet here, all right, justified as, I will call it a powder room instead. So it's very unique that you get to have a powder room inside a condominium, because usually powder room is for landed property. And the reason why they have a powder room is because they have not enough space. All right, they need to have a space just for the guests. So this one becomes a guest toilet in some sense. And then you have 4 bedrooms. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So master room, definitely you will have your own ensuite, which is understandable. But you need to know that 3 rooms are going to share 1 toilet. Okay, one of them can maybe come all the way here to use lah. Okay, so this is the where I hum a little bit lah. Like, hey, a 4-bedroom, but then the toilet like not enough. So people have to queue, put on timetable. But if let's say today you have an option, okay, you can even go to Trevor again. Okay, just to share with you. Okay, a Trevor property, a proper 4-bedroom unit. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there are 4 units. What do they have? First of all, your master room, you have your attached. You have a common toilet, as well as your junior master, all right, which is using a toilet here. And you have a Jack and Jill toilet. So this is something that for a 4-bedroom, I believe a lot of families, why they go for 4-bedroom is because they're also planning ahead that I want to stay in this property for the next 10 years or even 15 years down the road. And that's where you see your kids growing up. Maybe at the moment you feel that without the toilet is okay because they are still young. But what about 10 years later? Maybe some of them may want to have their own space. They may have a lot more things that they want to house, and then it will become a problem in future. So remember, property is always about forward planning. Okay, it's not that we don't want to do things now and then later on you may regret and you may need to change out from your property decision later. And so with Trevor, right, just to give you like this kind of configuration, you have a very good landscape layout, and you also have an additional WC here, all right? And you can use the balcony space as your yard also at the same time. So this is a very, very proper 4-bed configuration that you can go for. And this property being 1,335 square feet for 4-bedroom is only how much? 2.55 million, which works out to 1,980 per square foot. So the key thing you must understand is when we are doing comparison is today you're exchanging, let's say OCR, and you're moving downwards to RCR, which is nearer to town. And with such a configuration, if today you have a choice of 3 million in future, or even 2.6 or even 2.8 million, which one will you go for when you want to sell? Remember, this is always the key point. And in this location, the position of this project is so much nearer to your amenities, as well as all your facilities, whether it's the MRT, whether it's the shopping mall, whether it's your hawker center or your food center or wet market, everything is really there. So this area is what I call a more matured area, which is why sometimes you may need to pay that slight premium. But that slight premium gives you the convenience, give you the assurance. And this area has been already well supported, because a 4-bedroom like this, your rental has already been supported at least $7,500 supported. So if today you're looking for investment, or maybe may not be now, maybe after you stay and you wanted to keep this property can also rent it out at a quite high unit. So these are some of the things that you take note. Alternatively, you can also go for this kind of layout. Okay, so this kind of layout is also OCR. So you say, okay, I only want OCR because everybody says OCR, my growth potential is better. And the only reason why OCR growth is greater in the last few years is you also need to drive in to the location, because if you are surrounded by upgraders, EC upgraders, HDB upgraders, then your chances of your property increasing is more secure. Okay, that is the reason why you can see a lot of OCR properties jump in terms of value over the last couple of years. It's not any OCR properties, my friend. So you need to be extra careful. So for this OCR property, this is also another example, Grandeur Park Residences, which is Tanah Merah MRT in D16. Okay, also OCR. And you can get much cheaper in this kind of configuration, because this unit is 1,130 square feet. Okay, at how much only? 2.27 million. You can get one unit already like this. And you have a proper 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and 4-bedroom, as well as another family area. You can double it up as a helper's room or a storeroom configuration. And in this area, the rental also has been supported at least 6,000. So that's why these are all things that today, if you need to pay 2.8 million, 2.5 million for Springleaf example for a 4-bedroom, and there may be certain limitations in terms of the configuration. Hey, then a D16, there is TOP 2021. You're buying 300,000 lower price. Why is it that we cannot consider? All right. So these are the things that today, before you go into the property market, you need to study ahead. Okay, you really need to study ahead. properly. And let's say you also, on the other end, you're saying that, oh, if I want to exchange, bring a brand new, let me go to a better location, shall we? So let us take a look at this, that we exchange OCR, now we go to RCR. Okay, maybe that is also one of the things that you want to think about to move forward. But of course, if you move forward, then you may need to understand the logic behind the quantum that you can pay for, as well as the size of the unit. All right, so I think these are all very crucial points that you must study and understand. So one of the key things that I also share with a lot of my clients is that if today you're wondering, whether it is ideal that, hey, today I want to really start looking into properties and I want to explore more possibilities. So you may want to reach out to us before you even commit, and you can comment inside, or you can just text or even WhatsApp the QR code and just type and send Springleaf plan, and we'll map out your alternatives. We'll map out what is your exit timeline and windows going to be, and we make sure that your family will not get into a dead end as we plan forward to have alternatives. All right, so this is also something that you need to really understand. So one of the few key questions that I want to kind of address lah. So what if I already bought? Is it too late? Okay. Again, I mentioned that this video is not to bash or shame anybody who has bought Springleaf, because as long as you have bought something and you have already done your sums right, you've done your objective right, I believe that is the best way to go. And that's why, because your strategy, even if you purchase really, then you may need to start thinking from another perspective. Like today, I already enter. Then you need to start planning what's your exit. What is your positioning in your exit going to be? How are you going to rent it out in future? Are you intending to hold it longer to wait for the transformation? And how long do you want to wait for it? Then you can plan the next move, all right, because you already purchased. All right, so we don't want to, think about it too far. All right, so you no need to think of like, okay, what should I do? Should I give? Don't think about all this, because you already went through the exercise, and I believe you have made the right choice as well. So don't panic, especially if you have purchased Springleaf. But you want to kind of plan out a proper strategy in future, and you want to kind of focus on what's your exit timeline going to be, so that you can plan your next move. All right. So another questions that a lot of people also will ask is that, but if I buy already, but I really love that area, okay, then you're buying lifestyle. It's just a lifestyle purchase, and it's not an investment. So you need to be very careful that there's a very fine line between lifestyle purchase, where I want to fit in my needs and my wants, versus if I want my property to grow in value over time, because you cannot confuse between comfort as well as your growth. Okay, cannot combine together. Okay, so that's why we need to understand very carefully of your objective. Usually when we do, then another thing will be like, oh, everybody bought already, then shouldn't I follow? So this sounds it's a herd mentality, right? So sometimes herd movements, because of hype, because of whatever situations, everybody goes in and then it creates a big bubble. And whether this bubble will affect you or not, only time will tell. Right? So for some of us, when we are looking into property, we are not just going with the hype. We really get into access with a lot of research data and numbers to determine how we can spot the next curve before anybody else. So that's why the data, the research all comes in very carefully. So if today, remember, we don't want to go in buying blind. Okay, today I think as prices and interest rates, all these economy situations, you don't want to go in blind. You really want to kind of open your eyes bigger and have a game plan to kind of separate the hype situation or the emotional situation that you're feeling because of all this hype. Or then you want to buy based on growth logic. Okay, based on growth logic, based on support price logic, then you will know whether it's OCR, RCR, or CCR, where is the opportunity. Right, so that's the reason why I do all these videos, because we are not here to sell the hype, but we are going to show you how to win in this property market with clarity, with proof on how the property should be done in your own property journey. Okay, so this is very important for everyone. I hope that every one of you really like this video, and you all can actually subscribe to this, and stay tuned for my next video where I uncover even more in-depth research regarding where the property market is heading, and also future property launches, how are they standing out versus the rest. All right, cheers.